Madam President, I come to the floor today with a simple message about our economy. I know we're in the process of our transportation bill, and the chairman of the committee may come out momentarily, so I'll yield when that moment happens so we can keep that process going, because that bill's about jobs, creating jobs and infrastructure investment. We've made incredible progress, and we continue to make incredible progress when you think about 3 years ago and where we are today. Now, I know some in Washington like to focus on the scare tactics and how bad things are, how they could be worse if we continue on whatever path they think we're on. But the fact is, you just have to look at the recent information, not produced by a bunch of politicians, but by other people looking at the economy or investing in the economy or participating in the economy in a pretty direct way. One statistic that's an incredible chart, when you look at it, it speaks for itself, really, when you look at it. We've had now, just prior to 2009 and a little bit after, we had about 8 million jobs that were lost. We've now had, and actually this says 22 months of consecutive growth. We've actually had 23 months of consecutive growth. And this number that says 3.2 is actually closer now to 3.7 million new jobs in our economy since the Great Recession started in late or early '09. And again, I know people come down and they say, oh, it could be better. I don't know about you, this was bad. This is better. Can we always do better? We always strive. That's the American dream. Always strive for a little bit better, trying to do more as we move on. But there is no question the good news and the job losses are diminished and now gone. Job gains. And this is private sector job gains, which is very important. And more importantly, the underlying issue of the job gains are small businesses. If you watch the data this last month, when the unemployment rate was estimated to be a little bit higher, but it actually came out at 8.3, lower than almost every economist thought. And all you had to do was look underneath the data point. And the data point was very clear. Small businesses were hiring. They are the backbone of this economy. If they're hiring in December, January, in months when people expect, in January especially, the economy to start slowing down, what they're hiring for is because they see the future and they see increase in sales and the potential. And so, again, I know we hear people say, oh, it's not as good as it could be. I don't know about you, but 8.3 is better than what everyone figured it would be. Do I want it lower? Madam President, do you want it lower? Of course we do. But the trend lines are clear. We also had a 4-year low in U.S. jobless claims, again, boosting spending in our economy. Consumer confidence, an article in CNN in late December, consumer confidence shoots higher again. Why is that important? The more consumers are confident about the economy, the more they engage in the economy. An interesting one is how low refinancing rates are. 3.75%, 3.875%, unbelievably low. But people are still a little hesitant. But when you start looking at the data points in the last few weeks, especially I think one came out yesterday, more and more people are refinancing. 21% increase last month, refinancing. Why is that important? Again, consumers feel confident, the rates are strong for them, they can get a better rate on their home. Net result, more money in their pocket for themselves, to spend on their family, on whatever they want to buy, vacations, the new remodel job they want to do, the kitchen they've been holding off and fixing up, or the fence that's tipping over a little bit. Now they're going to hire a small contractor to fix it. Consumer confidence is on the rise. Again, we'll hear it's not good enough. Well, yes, but it doesn't mean we're done. We got a lot of work ahead of us, but we have done incredible things. Home builders, in an AP article February 3rd, just last week or so, home builders see stable housing market. Now let me repeat that, stable housing market. Most people say, well, it's not a growing housing market. No, but before, it was diving, it was sinking, it was disappearing. Stable is good, because when you go from stable, the next result is you move to the next level, growth. GM, automobile industry, and I know I talk about this one a lot. 3 years ago, flat on its back. People said it's not going to survive, let it go away. Today, GM, according to Forbes, not a very liberal magazine, but Forbes, January 19th, GM #1 in the world. #1. Why is that important? They are hiring more people from all kinds of ranges of salary. Their secondary facilitators, suppliers are hiring more people. People who ship those cars are hiring more people, again, moving forward. We've seen manufacturing, actually, in the Budget Committee a couple of days ago, Fed Chairman Bernanke was surprised by the strong growth in manufacturing, which, again, a few years ago, people would say manufacturing, we're never going to get back to our days. Again, growth. Industrial suppliers power up sales. Wall Street Journal, January 24th. U.S. state tax revenues, why is this important? Because that shows sub-economies within states, within communities growing. U.S. state tax revenues returned to pre-recession levels. CNBC, December 8th. Again, stronger economy. And I will say, back in my home state, we're making progress on the Chukchi and Beaufort Sea, huge potential oil and gas development, 26 billion barrels of known recoverable oil today. I think it's a lot higher, but that's what we know about. Could provide and generate, once in production, 30,000 jobs, millions in payroll, not just throughout Alaska, but throughout this country, because that's U.S. oil for U.S. consumption and utilization, or export if we're in the business of selling it. But the point is, it is jobs for Alaskans, jobs for Americans. This month, Shell got its final air permit for drill ships, one step closer to exploration this summer. There's no question in my mind that we're going to make that happen. 3 years ago, people told me we're never going to do anything in federal waters. We're never going to develop our resources in Alaska that are in federal hands because the bureaucracy, the regulation, the laws, the rules don't allow it. Well, I stand here today and tell you, after just 3 years, National Petroleum Reserve, Chukchi, Beaufort, billions of barrels of oil are in exploration and or development. 3 years. They are right. The last 30 years, we've had a lot of sluggish opportunity in that field. Today, it's moving forward. In 3 years, new activity. Powerful for our country from a national security perspective, but also from an economic security perspective. We know ConocoPhillips, again, as I mentioned, the National Petroleum Reserve has now received its permit to move forward, and they hope to start developing in 2013. In Alaska, mining, another, again, in 2010, investments in Alaska's mining exploration totaled more than $264 million, a 47% increase, and 1/3 of the total spent on mining exploration in the U.S. overall was in Alaska. There's a new gold rush in Alaska with continued increase in gold prices, placer mining applications, general submitted by small family-run operations rose from 350 in 2005 to over 580 this year. Alaska even has a reality show called Gold Rush. Alaska, on exports, Alaska topped over $5 billion in exports in 2011. And China is now our #1 top trading partner. There are liquefied natural gas opportunities in the Asian market that we're exploring, and can assure you, in Alaska, companies have the strongest interest in moving forward. The good news is spreading across this country, but our work, as I said, is not done. We must continue to build on this progress and secure long-term economic stability that will protect our middle-class families and support our small businesses moving forward. We must address the deficit. Unemployment is still too high. It's better, but it's still too high. And our housing market is still a little weak. Europe's economic situation remains uncertain, and we continue to depend on unstable sources of foreign oil. That is why we must move forward on an agenda that will continue to strengthen our economy, protect the middle-class families, and support small businesses, including extending the payroll tax cuts, unemployment insurance, a true energy plan that includes domestic oil development, tax reform to protect the middle class, rebuild this country's infrastructure, and strengthen our housing market. We can and must improve our economy and address long-term fiscal challenges at the same time. Even with hard work ahead, there is a lot of reason for optimism. We are moving in the right direction. We are creating jobs. We are turning this economy around. Just last week, and I'll end on this note, I spend time looking at every business publication, reading what's going on, not just from a global perspective, but companies themselves. And when you see headlines, again, from the Wall Street Journal, jobs power market rebound, unemployment dips to 8.3% on broad gains, Dow highest level since 2008. Some people say, well, the market, it's hard to gauge that. But if you're one of those people, put a little money aside for your retirement, and maybe a 401k or your IRA, or you have a little money set aside for your kids to go to college. In 2009, it was a sad year. You were thinking you're going to have to work a lot longer just to make up some of that money. Today, the market is double what it was then. If I would challenge people to take their 09, March, April statements, if they had an education account for their kids or an IRA, and compare it to where we are today. It is better. Can it be better than it is today? Absolutely. And that's what we're going to continue to strive for. So again, Madam President, I'm going to continue to come down to this body, to this floor, talk about this great economic news. I know, people want to see the worst in things. I think what's made this country great is we see the best in things. We see what the opportunities are. We take advantage of them. We try, we risk a little bit, like the auto bailout and the cash flow clunkers. We took a little risk. We walked the road alone. Today, all that almost all paid off. And guess what? A thriving industry providing jobs all across this country. So, Madam President, we have a lot to be proud of and a lot to look forward to. We just got to keep on the path, take a little risk once in a while, push the envelope, and bank on the American people. Madam President, I yield the floor. I note the absence of a quorum.
Clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Akaka.